This is the Job Stories Podcast, how people find work that matters.
All right, Josh.
I'm Mason.
Thanks for coming on, dude.
Thanks for having me.
So we're talking about it just a second ago, but we've known each other for 10 years now. That's weird.
It has. It's been 10 years.
From LA to, UK to LA to Nashville to back to the
next.
UK to back to Nashville. Yeah. Cool. So yeah, thanks for coming on. I want to talk to you about your story today and just kind of, we haven't had a whole lot of creatives because, our company, we do mostly tech stuff. So it'll be cool to hear about your story. So just, if you don't mind, we'll get started on what do you do? What is your job, Josh? What do you do for a living?
I hit things with wood for a living.
And is it musical when you do that?
I mean,
It depends.
It depends, yeah.
Yeah.
No, yeah. I play the drums. I'm a professional musician.
How long have, so it's funny because I'm knowing you for as long as I've known you, I'm kind of forgetting some of these things, but you've told me throughout our relationship.
How dare you?
I know. I should remember these things. When did you start playing drums? You played forever?
Since I was 3.
Really? Like actually behind a kit playing
Behind
drums?
the kit, playing drums.
That's crazy.
My first video, I'm sitting on my dad's lap playing in the studio.
Okay, so your dad's a musician too, right?
Singer.
Who else in your family? Like, is that pretty common in your family?
Yeah.
Like, is there a lot of
both
musicians?
my grandfathers were drummers.
Oh, really?
And then I never met them. They passed before I was born, so I think just it's gone on for that.
So since 3 years old, was there a time where you're like, okay, I want to do this forever? Like, did you ever entertain doing something not music? Like, were you kind of like, I'm going to do music. This is what I'm going to do?
Ever since I was like a kid, I was just like, this is just what I want to
Like
do.
getting a regular 9-to-5 probably was never on your
Never.
radar. That's
Never.
wild.
I
Yeah.
never thought that was it. Even in school, teachers are like, that's not realistic. And I was like, well, I'll make it realistic.
Yeah, I know the answer to this, but your biggest influence probably playing drums, like musical?
Oh, geez. You mean like drummer influences?
Yeah,
Or
maybe.
like
Let's start
music,
there.
or-
Yeah. drummers.
I loved all the classic rock stuff, man. Like Jeff Beccaro, Simon Phillips, all that.
Little Toto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then like, bands like Journey and like all that. I used to watch them live on TV and be like, I want to do that. And you see videos of like crowds of people. I'm like, they get paid to do it. And this is before there was a concept of money for me, where I was just like, I just want to have fun. Like, even if I wasn't getting paid for it, I'd still go out and play in front of 10 people happily.
So that's interesting. I'm going to come back to that here in a second. So what was your first gig? What was the first one where you made money? Do you remember?
No. Jeez, that would have been a long time ago.
High school?
No. I remember doing a session when I was younger.
Like a studio thing?
Yeah, but I think I would have been like 17, 18.
Wasn't
I think
there
my
a-
first tour was 17.
Yeah.
But I'm pretty sure by the time it was all said and done, stuff went so badly on the tour that I think I ended up paying money
Oh, yeah.
to stay alive on it.
But you were probably thrilled because it's like,
I'm on tour in Europe.
yeah, exactly.
I'm 17
Yeah.
and with a bunch of like 30-year-olds playing. Well, I think they're actually mid-20s to like early 30s. They were a good bunch of dudes.
Yeah.
And we just got in a van and toured.
Oh my gosh.
Brutal.
At 17?
17.
So did you just graduated high school?
No, so I finished high school at 16. They wouldn't let me go. So like in England, you finish compulsory education at 16. Then you've got like an extra 2 years that they call sixth form, and that's like where everyone goes and gets their A-levels, and then they can go on to university, which usually goes to like college.
Yeah, yeah.
They wouldn't let me come back. They're like, nah, you're not coming back to school. I was like, damn, okay.
Okay.
I wasn't even that bad, really.
Yeah.
I mean, I was probably a little disruptive, but
But to be fair, you knew you were going to play music anyway.
yeah,
So
and they
that
said
was
we
on your
can't
mind all the
help
time.
you with that. So I was like, okay. So I went to like the UK version of college
Mm-hmm.
for 2 years, which was a joke. No offense to my college teachers or anything. Like some of them were really cool. Absolute joke.
Yeah.
And then I just started just doing music.
All right, we'll get into the meat and potatoes just because I know this, but your first large gig was playing drums for One Direction. How did you get that one?
Word of mouth.
Really?
This was before social media was like a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
Now I think it's probably easier to be noticed
Had
because of that.
Had they been on the show? Because nobody
X
really knew who
Factor.
they were either at the time.
In England, they were already pretty big, but
Gotcha.
they were on X Factor. I think they came third. They didn't even win. Yeah, they became the biggest band of like, recent history at that time.
And you got that gig because you knew somebody that was.
I got that gig down to Facebook.
Okay.
So actually, I just said it wasn't social media. It was legit social media. I added somebody randomly on Facebook that a buddy told me to add. And I did. And he hit me up one day and was like, hey, so I know, I think he'd seen that I played drums for a UK artist, a rapper called Skepta, who's killing it now. He's doing so, I mean, he was killing it then too. And he's like, hey, you kind of look, you have the boy band look. Would you be up for playing on TV this weekend? I was like, let's do it. Got that, did that.
Pretty wild.
It was crazy, man. I went from like having like nothing to do to playing on TV. I was like, this is cool. This is like, I get to be on TV. You know, everyone wants to be on TV at some point in their life. And I was like, this is really great. Didn't think anything more. And then I got a call one day from the MD, John, just being like, you want to try out for the band? And I said, yeah. And the rest is history.
Well, that's what I was curious about. I asked that because, how'd you get the gig? Because, I mean, I'm curious on what other people that might want to jump into like maybe somebody that's a young musician now that wants to pursue it as a career. Like, what's a good way for them to get in front? Like, because I know I've talked about this some, but Kylie, she always talks about as a professional singer, like just truthfully say yes to everything. But you actually like reached out to somebody and said like, hey, like just in any way, I'm just curious on what your advice might be for people that want to maybe get into the music, maybe a young drummer, a young guitarist or whatever. How do they? What can they do now to like try to get up in the music business?
I'd still say play as much as possible and get out there. People want to be able to see that you can play, obviously. And now, like back when that was it, you know, YouTube was just a thing, and I'd put stuff up on YouTube. But like, how do you get people to watch that? Well, you got to, you know, play relevant songs. And now, like, I'm even doing it now where I'll go on and I'll do covers of like random songs and stuff, just because content is king. You want to keep making content.
Totally. It's that like that phrase out of sight, out of mind kind of thing. Like if you want to be in a particular field, I mean, we even tell these people in tech, like if there's something you know you want to do, like get as close to the people that are doing it now as you possibly can.
Yeah.
It's like maybe in like a local city. We used to do this in LA a lot, but maybe go to a local jam. Just go meet people, like that.
Things like that, or like here in Nashville, writers' rounds. You get a lot of people, you know, there's so many incredibly talented musicians. And there's so many incredibly talented songwriters and musicians who will never leave their bedroom because they don't put themselves out there. And like, you just gotta, you know, push and just be like, cool, I'm gonna go knock on every damn door I can find, and one will open, and that will, you know, I'll take that as far as it goes, and then we do the same thing again.
And maybe because you mentioned it, I guess maybe because now people can use YouTube more or whatever, so just film as much as possible if you can.
Social media is everything.
Yeah.
I mean, like I literally yesterday watched, there's a video, there's this dude, he's 11 years old, just shredding on the drums, and people are watching his videos. I'm like, this dude's gonna do something. Like, give him 7 years when he's 18 and can go and play in clubs and stuff, or 21 it's here, isn't it? So when he gets old enough, he'll have gigs because there's eyes on him and he can play. And I'm saying, like, that's the same thing. If you know, you just got to put yourself out there.
Because it's such a hard, making your way, making money in the music industry is
it's tough.
Insane.
It's tough.
Yeah.
Dude, even for like me now, especially after coming off the One Direction gig, like getting work, getting on tours, getting stuff, like people just think, oh, it's super easy now. Like once you've done one thing, you move on to the next. It's great. And then a pandemic happens, and then suddenly everyone's on level playing fields. Everybody's looking for a gig. Everyone's doing things. So how do you stand out? How do you say, hey, I'm here?
Do you suggest, because I remember in college, the thinking was try to be pretty good at as many styles as possible, or the other line of thinking is, or you could just get really good at one style. What do you like? Because I know you play like basically everything, but what do you think about that?
I just love music. I love making music. So I just try and play as much of everything as I can to a certain degree, especially as a session player. Like, I love doing studio stuff and live stuff. I want an artist to be able to go, hey, this is the kind of music I play. Would you be down to come and do it? And I wouldn't freeze and go, I don't know how to play metal. I don't know how to play whatever it is. You want to have like a basic understanding of it all to enough where you're like, you know, I can confidently get past whatever's there. Yeah. And then just build on it. But yeah, I think, you know, it's great. There's some drummers and musicians, or even just people in music, that are great at one thing and they're killer at that, and they'll go on and be super successful doing that. And if that's what you want to do, that's great. Or if you want to try and be a session person, like I'm trying to be, you just try and do, as you know, you can never stop learning. I feel like the moment you stop and go, well, I'm great at this and I'm going to stick to this, like you get stale.
Dude, that's brilliant. We were actually talking to a CEO of I think it was Robbie Allen. He has a healthcare company here in town. He said the same thing. So it's wild that kind of like in any industry, this like continuous learning is so key. That's funny you said that.
Yeah, I feel like as soon as somebody thinks they're like, Billy Big Balls, somebody who's like learned everything and I'm the man, and look at me, or the woman, and I feel like everyone just goes, yeah, cool.
Yeah,
Like, yeah,
totally.
ego.
And I think too, obviously my mind's thinking tech, but you've always been really good. You can play a lot of instruments, actually. A lot of people may not know that, but you also can record yourself. That's huge. Like you can run Pro Tools and Logic.
Yeah.
Would you suggest young people?
Oh man,
you got to learn that stuff now.
I feel like it's made me a better drummer. Learning how to record, learning what to do, what not to do, how to make things better, and plus, like we're all guilty of it. We'll get on a kit or music or whatever and just overplay everything, and be like, "There's a space here. I'm gonna go ballistic," and it sounds really cool, and the average listener will go, "The hell was that?
What are you doing?
That sounded like mess.
Yeah.
That sounded terrible."
Yeah.
And that's the thing. So you just kind of learn. It's all learning. You learn more every single time you do something out of your comfort zone. You progress. You keep growing. You keep learning.
Yeah, that makes sense. So since you can produce, that translates to a live thing. You're probably thinking about it as a producer rather than just like a drummer, right? You're probably thinking like, this is a song structure. Maybe I shouldn't chop right here or whatever.
Yeah. Well, I've noticed most on 9 out of 10 sessions, they just want you to play what's right for the song. And then a few takes, they'll be like, just go nuts. Give us something fun. I'd rather that than get in there, go ballistic, and then they go, oof, never hiring this guy again. Like he's gone way too much.
No,
so it's the same thing.
That's valuable for young drummers. Okay, the thing that I know I wanted to ask you, because I said we'd come back to it, has it been funky? Me and Kylie talk about this a lot, but has it been, and we did it with Matt Porteous too on this podcast, transitioning. You started playing drums at 3, and then it had become the way that you make money. So it's something you've loved that then turned into like, this is because you're married now, gonna have kids at some point. It's like, now it's the pressure of this is what I love, but now I've got to like make money with it. Yeah. Is that weird?
Yeah, I mean, there's two sides of it. There's like pressure of, especially in our world, where it's like, if you're not on a big ass gig, you're thinking, okay, cool, I need to do this and this and this because I got bills, I got things I need to do, you got a mortgage, you got whatever, you got kids to look after. So there's pressure in that, and you're thinking, well, I want to keep doing what I love and making money doing it, and super fortunate that that's an option. But if it wasn't, I'd have zero problem going and getting a regular job, working a good like hard day's work, and then playing for fun.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Is the love for it. And for me, when the love goes, like if I stopped loving playing music, I'm gonna pack it up. I'm like, when it becomes a job and it's not fun anymore, then I may as well give up.
Yeah.
Because I'll make shitty music, and
true.
I won't. Passion comes across and stuff. And when you're just doing something for a paycheck, it comes across. Your heart's not in it. Sounds bad. That's why tons of bands and artists, you listen through the years, and their early work is so good, and then they just they're like, I'm just going to follow the paycheck, and they do things, and people lose. They're like, that's not great, and it's not that the artist isn't great. The artists are amazing. They've written some incredible things or whatever, but you can just tell like then heart's not in it the same way when they were hungry, and it's the same with music, like musicians.
It translates to a lot of the stuff we talk about on this podcast, so that's pretty profound. It's like in anything, like, you do have to weigh, like, dude, do I love doing this? Like, or is it just, I just got an offer for a ton of money, right? Because if it only becomes about that, like we talk a lot about, or CEOs of people we interview, or guests that we interview talk a lot about making sure that they're providing like a work-life balance. And that's the same kind of thing. Like, they're just doing it for the money, it gets tough. So it's cool that you translate that in the same way music.
I mean, I can't tell you how many people in my life I've known who are about to get a huge promotion. They're about to make a ton more money, and they turn it down. They go, I don't want the stress of running up to this next pay bracket. I don't want the stress that comes with that. I want my free time.
Yeah.
I want to be able to spend time with my kids and do all that. And
That's right.
so many people won't ever understand that, because they're like, well, you can make over 6 figures doing this. Whereas before, it's a big jump. And it's like there's just more to life than money.
That's good, man.
So it's like, yeah, it's just finding that balance. But I mean, as you said, you have kids.
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to want to go and tour a ton and be away 10 months of the year?
It makes
with
it
kids?
harder.
Like, that's tough. That's where these questions get asked of like, how much do I love doing this? Is it enough to sacrifice, you know, watching your kids grow old or spending time with your family or whatever? So, yeah,
But
it's
on the flip side, it's that, dude, when you can get a paycheck for like what was once a hobby and something you love,
Yeah.
that feeling's like there's nothing like that too.
It's the best thing ever. And then also because there's been a huge pandemic when no one's been able to do anything, it makes it even sweeter when you do go back out on the road. Like I went on the road last month. It was the first time since 2019 I've been out playing shows. And I was like, I just remembered, like, it's almost like a rekindling happened where I was like, I love this.
This is why I do this.
Genuinely, we're playing to like 200-300 people max. And the artist was great. The vibe was great. And I was like, I remember why I love touring.
Yeah,
now.
that's cool.
And like, I would quite happily do this. And I would quite happily raise a child in that environment too, you know?
You're like, I'm back.
I'm back.
That's awesome.
More.
So what's next? What do you want to do next?
Just keep
touring?
Keep touring, yeah. Now the world's opening up. A lot more people are like, you know, figuring out going out on the road and doing all that.
Yeah,
So I'm
just
kind of
people
up
are
for it.
booking in general more now, right?
Yeah, so I'm kind of up for whatever.
Okay, so if somebody wants to book you and they happen to hear this podcast, how can they get in touch with you?
Just
Instagram,
DM me,
Twitter,
Instagram,
Josh Devine,
drums.
Josh Devine drums on all of them.
I think TikTok's like not the drums, but maybe it's I can tell you
I think
now.
you're easy to find.
I'm super easy to find. Let me just music.
Josh Devine drums.
Yeah, Josh Devine drums.
Perfect. So just DM you on one of those.
Just hit me up.
I don't know that we have a lot of. We need to get some more like music fan base though. But yeah, that'd be cool.
Well, hey, if there's any big CEOs that
There you go.
just want me to come and drum in their office, like, let's go. I'll make some noise.
There is. I do know someone that does like motivational speaking for like businesses, but he plays drums. It's bizarre.
That's pretty great.
He's in Nashville. Yeah.
I would love that. Imagine you talk to them, you see people get a little bit sleepy in the rows, you know, they're kind of like zoning out, and you go sit on the drum kit and just smash for a bit.
Yeah.
Wake them all up.
Yeah. Some like accountant's like, whoa, what's happening right now? You
Loud
know what I mean?
noises.
Exactly.
Great. I'm in for that.
Dude, thanks for coming on. It's been cool.
Thanks for having
Love
me.
you, dude.
You
This
too,
is
my
awesome.
brother.
Appreciate you.